Hey guys, DM Scotty here. Good to have you with me on DM's Craft. Today I want to show you an interesting little puzzle I ran for a dungeon I just recently did. All I constructed out of was some cardboard, a few washers, and some glass beads. I found the puzzle for the inspiration online, and I'll talk a little bit about that later in the video. And this is going to be kind of a two-part video. The first part of the video is we're going to be constructing the puzzle. I'll show you how to do it. It's super easy. And then the next part I'll show you how to run it. So let's go ahead to the table and we'll construct that puzzle. So for the start of the puzzle, I just did a circle. So I just got what I thought was an appropriate size. And then what I did was I traced it on some cardstock. So I put this down and traced it because I want to have like a dragon head in the center of the circle. So I'll cut this out and it'll give it like a little relief on that. And then I also made some circles that I'm going to put down on there too. That these are where the characters will place the gems. So there we go. That's the start of our project. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all these out and then I'll just assemble it. So I'm going to put the dragon head on there and then a circle there, a circle there, and a circle there. And then I'll glue it all together and paint it black, and then we'll come back and we'll start doing some detailing from there. So I'll see you for the next part. Figured I would backtrack a little bit because I wanted to show you the construction. So I have the circles there. You can see I have the 3 circles. Then I put the dragon's head down. You can see that. But I also added some washers. So because I'm going to have gems sitting on these circles and the players have to change them. So I thought it'd be fun to have those little washers on there also. So now I'm going to paint it black and then we'll come back and we'll start adding texture and detail. Have my puzzle board all painted black. Now what I'm going to do is use the sponge technique. So I'll grab my sponge. I'm going to use put some base dark brown on it and just put it on my sponge. And I am just going to smear it. Now I'll just start applying that. Now this is a very dark brown, so you're not going to see much of a difference. This is just kind of the base coat. More brown on there. All right, so now I'm going to let that dry, and then we'll move on to the next stage. We'll add a lighter color to this. Since this puzzle will be on a sandstone wall, I'm doing it more like a sandstone color. So this is a cinnamon color, and I'm just going to start stippling that on. Okay, so now I'll go let this dry, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, this is going to be a bit tricky. I've got the camera at a weird angle because I need to be able to draw, so it's going to be kind of hard if it's the camera's over my shoulder or something. So I figured I would kind of do a top down, and this is kind of a reverse angle, so it's going to be a little weird, but then at least you can watch me draw. So I want to add some kind of magical symbols and shapes to this. So now I'm just going to use a Sharpie, and I'll start drawing. Well, first I'm going to trace out the dragon, so I'm going to use a thicker pen. And I'll just kind of and I'm often going to trim this. I'm going to cut this, so you don't have to watch me do this whole thing. Switch to my Sharpie. But see, I'm adding some nice detail without covering up everything. All right, there we go. So I think we got some really nice detail on there. Can I show you there? Looks really great. All right, so now I'm going to show you how the puzzle itself works. Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of the video. In this part I'm going to show how I actually ran the puzzle. And what I liked about the puzzle is the interesting thing about it was that you could solve it. There were different ways to solve it, but there was only really one correct way, because what I had was I had a trapped room in the next chamber that the puzzle opened a secret passage that led to that chamber. And there was a saying on the plaque, as I'll show at the next section in Draconian. And if the players did the puzzle correctly, then they would get fire protection. If they didn't do it correctly, it would still open the secret door, but they wouldn't have the fire protection. So that's one thing I liked about it. You could solve it several different ways, but really there was only one way to correctly solve it to get that fire protection. So let's go to the table and I'll give some examples of how we solved it.
I want to give credit where credit is due, and this puzzle was definitely inspired by Perplexing Puzzles #1, A Crystal Puzzle is Forever by Bradley Crouch. And I've changed it up quite a bit as far as with the dragon idea, but the basic mechanics of the puzzle are still from his idea. So I wanted to give a shout out to him and thank him for making this puzzle free and available on the web. There are 4 colors in the chromatic crystals: red, blue, green, and clear. The crystal on the dragon's forehead is black. The rod, looted from the worm priest, can be made to glow 3 colors: red, blue, or green. Any arcanist or divine can manipulate the rod's color. Each color seems to have an effect on the crystals in the plaque as follows. If you change the color of the rod to red and touch a crystal, it turns a clear crystal to red, or it turns a green crystal to clear. Turning the rod to blue and touching a red or green crystal turns it to blue. It also turns a blue crystal to clear and a clear crystal to blue. But it also affects the crystals adjacent to the crystal touch, so it will affect the other 2 crystals in the circle exactly as if you touched them with a blue rod. The effect of touching a crystal with a green colored rod turns a blue crystal to green and turns a red crystal to clear. Here I am setting up the puzzle for the players, and as you can see I have a different color crystal at each node and a black crystal in the center of the head. Also the puzzle itself has dragon writing on it, and one of our players was able to read dragon, and the inscription says, "Thrice blessed fire protects thy flesh against the dragon's wrath."
So a little more commentary before we move on. Now I've shown you the rules, how the rod works. So they find this worm priest rod, and they find out they can change the colors of the tip of the rod, and they find the puzzle on the wall, embedded in the sandstone wall, and it has the crystals on it. They're the different colors. So they can use these rules to change the crystals. Now they won't know the rules yet. This is all through experimentation. So they have to touch the puzzle with the color rod to find out what'll happen. Now if they touch the black crystal in the center, nothing happens, because that won't activate until all three crystals are the same color. Now the dragon riddle, the thrice blessed fire, that's a clue that they need to turn all the crystals red and then activate the center, and that will activate the puzzle, and they will get fire protection. But in the meantime, they have to figure out what these different colors do to the puzzle. So the next section, I'm going to show you an example of how touching the different crystals will change up their color. And like I say, there's basically three different ways they can do the puzzle. They can make all the gems the same color. So if they make them all blue and then make the center blue, that will open the door. So it's nice. Like I said, they're not stuck with one solution. But if they do that, they're not getting the fire protection. So that's what the riddle. That's how the riddle comes into play. They can turn them all green, and that will open the door. But like again, they're not getting the fire protection. So they have to turn them all red, and then they change the center one to red, and that activates the fire protection for them, and it also opens the door. So it's kind of cool that they have to figure out both aspects of that puzzle. They have to realize that the riddle means that they need to turn them all red, so for the fire protection, and they also need to figure out how to activate the puzzle by turning all the gems the same color. So the next section, I'll have some moves on that, and let's go to the table and I'll show you that in action.
So according to our rules, touching a green crystal with the red rod turns the crystal clear. So we start with the blue rod, and then when we touch the blue, it will turn the blue crystal clear. But also it's more complicated than the other rods. It also affects crystals that are adjacent. So these two crystals that are adjacent, it'll affect them also. And it will turn any red, green, or clear crystal to blue. And that's what it does. Here we see the green rod touching the blue crystal, and it turns the crystal to green. Here we see the red rod touching the green crystal and turning it clear, according to the rules of the rod. Here we have another green rod turning a blue crystal to green. Here we have the red rod turning the green crystal clear, and it looks like the players have set up to solve the puzzle. At this point, it's just a simple matter for the players to turn all the crystals red. So they touch each clear crystal with the red rod, and it turns it red. After they activate all three red crystals, then the center crystal activates and the door slides open.
Hey guys, if you're really digging these videos and would like some more information or to talk to other crafters, look at the link below in the description, and you can join my forum on the DM's Craft. We'd love to have you, and I'll see you there.